in terms of opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Fill in the sine, cosine, and tangent with that. SOHCAHTOA. If you spell those wrong, it doesn't work very well. So what is sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. Good. I will be abbreviating a lot on these. What's cosine? And what's tangent? I know you know those, but we just have to make sure we're all on the same page, okay? All right, so looking at the little right triangle I've drawn here, remember we can only use these sine, cosine, and tangent in a right triangle when we're trying to solve for missing pieces. So if I look at the right triangle down here and I'm referencing angle A, what is the sine of angle A in terms of the little letters A, B, and C? What would you tell me? Little a over little c, right? All right, what about cosine of A? What would you tell me? B over C, good. Tangent of A? A over B. Fine with those, right? Okay. What if I switch and now instead of talking about angle A, I talk about angle B? What would you tell me the sine of B is? B over C. All right, what about cosine of B? A over C, and tangent of B? B over A. Okay. Easy, right? We know this stuff. Okay. We're going to use that now to find the missing pieces of our triangles down below. So let's look at number 1. So in this, we need to find x, which is an angle, and then side A and side C. Okay, x should be easy. Is x easy? What is x equal? 56. How do we know that? Okay, you can either go all the way to there's 180 in the triangle, or when it's a right triangle, the two smaller angles have to add up to 90. Okay, so either way you want to think about it, you should get 56 degrees. Okay. All right, now we've got to find A and C. So you need to use sine, cosine, or tangent to set up an equation where you can find one of those missing sides. Anybody have a thought with where we want to start? Doesn't matter if you find A or C first. Any ideas? Got a lot of the, if I don't make eye contact with her, she won't call us. Sine of 34. So if we do that, it's not a bad idea, but that would equal A over C. Trouble, right? Okay, so cosine of which one did you say, Victoria? Did you say cosine of 56? Because then we're going to be, okay.
That's what it said.
What do you mean? Yes, perfect. Sine of 56. Good. Equals 8 over C, right? Okay, how do I solve for C? Times C, right? And guys, you're going to get to a point where you're not going to have to or even want to write this down, but first time through if you need it. So I now have C times the sine of 56 equals 8. So how do I get C by itself? Divide by sine of 56, right? So on your calculator, you're just going to do 8 divided by sine of 56. And again, we're rounding to 3 decimal places, which I know is a lot of decimal places, but that's okay. All right, what are we getting? 9.650. Good. We're just in the middle of 28. Okay. Okay, good. We've got C. I still need to find A. Tangent of 34. I like that thought, yes. Did any of you want to go to the Pythagorean theorem? Were you like, oh, a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Okay. You can, but you cannot use a rounded answer to find that. Okay? If you did just 9.650 to find it, you would be off at the end. If you're good with storing values in your calculator, all of that, separate thing, I would just go straight to tangent though. So now I've got tangent of 56 equals, and what if I did tangent of 34? It's even easier to solve, and maybe that's what you said. So how do I get a by itself? I just have to multiply by 8, right? So 8 tangent 34. You can do it the other way. You'll get the same answer, you just have more work to do. So did we get 5.396 for A? Okay, all right. Okay. You guys try number 2 for me, same idea. And guys, with this, the amount of work you show is really, it's just what you need for yourself. Your calculator is doing most of the work for you, so. When you're ready, guys, look up here and check. Make sure you agree with me. Yes? Give me a minute, make sure we're all there. You're good. Oh, okay. There are a lot of numbers. Questions so far? Okay, we're actually going to skip number 3 and go to number 4. What is different about 4? 2 angles that are missing, okay? So we've got to find x. Y, and side C. Guys, let's find C first. What can we do to find C? Yeah, let's do the Pythagorean theorem for that. Are we getting 8.602? Anytime you do the Pythagorean theorem, always look at your answer at the end and make sure the hypotenuse is the longest side of your triangle. If you're using it to find one of the legs, it's easy to mix up whether or not you should have been adding or subtracting. So just look at it at the end and make sure it makes sense. Okay, now I've got to find x or y. I'm going to start with x. If I said tangent of x equals, what would you tell me? 7/5, okay. We're good with that. But now what am I going to actually use on my calculator to find x? Inverse tangent, good, you guys remember. Okay, so inverse tangent of 7/5, that's how I get the angle. Are you getting 54.462 degrees? Anybody trouble on that? All right, how are you going to find y? Okay, inverse tangent 5/7, yeah. And hopefully those angles add up to 90, right? Being the two acute angles of your triangle. All right, one more on this page, guys. Go ahead and try number 5 for me. All right, guys, first, side A, did you get 8.485? Okay. Did anybody get anything bigger than 9? Like, did we do the Pythagorean theorem wrong? Or okay, good. Do you think I want to use tangent this time? No, I don't. The stuff I know is the 3 and the 9. So if I start with x, it looks like I know the opposite and the hypotenuse. So I probably want to use sine. So you're going to key in inverse sine. You can do 3/9, you can do 1/3, it doesn't matter. Cosine. All right, how do we do there? Okay, we good? Questions on just any of the missing parts of the triangle? Okay. Are we ready? I don't want to rush you guys through it. All right, we have some word problems to talk about next, and we're gonna draw. They're not bad. You just get to draw fun pictures for me with these, okay? First, let's just review what angle of elevation and angle of depression are, okay? So we have you on the ground down here, and your friend is a free rock climber, and they just climbed that lovely cliff. And you are saying, good job. You look up to them, okay? That angle right there where you have elevated your eyes to see your friend, that is the angle of elevation. That is never the one you guys mess up, okay? Angle of depression is the one you guys struggle with. So, angle of depression is not that other angle in the sort of triangle I have drawn here. I'm going to draw an extension there. This angle right here is the angle of depression. What do we know about those two angles? Thinking back to geometry. They're the same. Do you guys remember what they're called? Yeah, okay. Alternate interior. Okay, remember, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate interior angles are congruent. Yeah. I know you're having like horrifying flashbacks to geometry proofs right now. That's okay. So these two angles are always the same. So the angle of depression and the angle of elevation are the same. Okay? So, you what? They're technically, in two different places, but usually if you're given the angle of depression, you end up just writing it where the angle of elevation is anyway. So just know you can interchange those as far as congruency goes, okay? So let's try that with a word problem here. All right, in your directions here, it says sides round to the nearest 10, angles to the nearest degree, okay? So just keep that in mind. So guys, we're still just solving for parts of a triangle that are missing. You just don't have to solve all of the parts anymore. So we have a 20-foot ladder that is leaning against a wall. So here's my wall and my ladder. It's a super sketchy looking ladder. I would not climb on that ladder. All right, we know the ladder is 20 feet. And it says the base of the ladder is 8 feet from the base of the building. So where does that 8 go? The bottom, like down here, right? Okay. And then I'm asking you, what angle does the ladder make with the ground? So are we all okay with that's the angle I'm talking about down there in the bottom left? Yes? Okay. All right, so looking at those pieces of information, we're assuming that this wall is perpendicular to the ground, okay? It's a structurally sound building. I don't know. All right, what am I going to use? Sine, cosine, tangent, what do you think? Cosine. So we are going to have cosine of x equals 8 over 20. What are you going to use on your calculator? Inverse. When you are solving for an angle, it is inverse. Okay, so inverse cosine 8 over 20. And it said round angles to the nearest degree, so you can just tell me to the nearest degree what we get. Make sure you're putting your little degree symbol there. 66 degrees. Okay. Not exactly the hardest word problem ever, right? We're okay? Okay. We're going to jump around just a little bit here. Let's go to number 9. So we have a point on the ground 50 feet from the foot of a tree, and we're talking about an angle of elevation here. So we need a tree of some sort. Feel free to embellish your tree however you would like. Okay. So we have this point on the ground that is 50 feet from the foot of a tree. So the angle of elevation to the top of the tree is 53 degrees. Everybody okay with that's where the 53 goes? Okay. Find the height of the tree. So you are finding that side over there. So sine, cosine, tangent, what are we using? Tangent. I don't know anything about the hypotenuse, do I? No, so definitely can't be sine or cosine. So I'm going to use tangent of 53 equals what? X over 50. So how do I solve for x? Multiply by 50, right? And sides, I believe the direction said round to the nearest tenth. So what are you going to tell me? Yep, 66.4. And do you think you need to put feet on this? Yes, you do. Don't make me be mean about labels, okay? All right, you guys try number 10. I'll be walking around if you have questions on this one, okay? Draw me a nice picture. Super safe boat. Hey guys, the angle of depression, remember that's up here, which means it's the same as the angle down there by the boat, right? Okay. Let's see, this is 210 feet, find the distance, boat. So, two things, you can set up tangent of 27 equals 210 over x, or did anybody go, well, I'd rather use, what, 63 and do x over 210? Did anybody do that? Okay, that's fine. Either way, you should get 412.1 feet. Okay? All right. Guys, we've got like 8 minutes left. Let's go. Are we doing okay with this? Like, we understand the problem? Okay. Let's look at your homework assignment then. So if you turn the page, it just says like trig practice at the top or trig worksheet. Go ahead and do multiples of 3 front and back. That's just practicing the sine, cosine, tangent stuff. And then the next page that's actually the word problems that says homework 28 at the top, just do the odds on that. Okay? Everybody understand what I'm checking next time? Yes, so front and back on both of these, multiples of 3 on the first one, odds on the second. And guys, you've got decent time here. You could get a good chunk of this done. So let's see, today's Tuesday, right? So guys, on Thursday when I see you, just remember the only assessment you're gonna have is 27. That's the calculator stuff. So we're trying out this quarter shifting the assessments back a day, so you've got just a little more time to process the lesson instead of you learned it and immediately assessed the next class. Okay? So what you learned today, you are not getting assessed on next time. That makes sense? Okay. But you still have to do your homework for next time.